Both of us, this caught our eye, and that is City of Greater Sudbury banning comments on its Facebook page.
Yes.
So apparently they've had an issue with what they believe is hate speech, misinformation, inappropriate comments, and they say we can't very well, expose our staff knowingly to these things.
Yeah.
So we're just going to get rid of all comments.
Yeah, it says on the heels of City announcing it would be shutting down the ability to comment on its Facebook posts, at least one councillor says she believes the municipality should go several steps further to stop bad behavior of some residents. So in an email to councillors last Friday, the CAO, Ed Archer, indicated that the city would be turning off comments on Facebook posts. He said comments had become intolerable with abuse, harassment, and bullying directed at city staff.
But yeah, first of all, let's go through, do you think taking down comments, let's say these are some of the worst comments allowed on Facebook. And let's be clear, Facebook doesn't allow the stuff that they're talking about.
Facebook already moderates.
So the stuff that they're talking about, do you think this is a reason to take comments off?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the question you have to ask.
Yeah.
Because later in the article, Ward 5 Councillor Robert Kirwan, he said abusive comments and harassment.
Mm-hmm.
Can you be harassed? I don't know. I'm having a hard time seeing what they're talking about. It seems like they're all in agreement on this.
Yeah, you go back to social media in the first place, right? Remember how excited everyone was for social media? What were some of the reasons why social media? Why does the city have a Facebook page? What is Facebook? What was its original intent? We can bring Twitter into this conversation as we have our Sudbury News Twitter banner below here as well. So what is social media? What was its purpose? I think it was to create a platform as a town hall, basically, that can be ongoing, a conversation that you can weigh in on.
Yeah.
And so you have that, ability. It's almost like on the street, two people talking, one other person comes along and says, hey, what are you guys talking about? And then gets into the conversation. But this is done for the whole community or whatever community there is, whether it's a city community or a niche community. Everyone loves a particular subject or movies or something. They're on a movie Facebook. They're discussing the topics. Now, there's also laws in place for harassment, is there not? If I was to harass you, I could go to the police and say, or you go to the police and say, AJ's harassing me. And then the police would, okay, well, let's look into this. Is there really harassment going on? And then they would investigate it. Okay, yes, no, maybe, whatever. Maybe this needs to be looked in more. And then charges can be laid if it's being deemed that it's possible harassment. What's different on social media? Couldn't those comments be pretty blatantly looked at as harassment? If they are, follow the protocol. But I think they're just taking an easy way out and taking all the comments off, so they don't have to think about it. But what are some of the downsides to this when you take comments off of Facebook? The main reason it was invented in the first place, because you don't need Facebook if you're going to take the comments off, because you might as well just have your website and put up what you want to post.
Yeah, just have instead of a forum, just make it a bulletin board. You know?
We're gonna.
Well, do you think that that's the correct direction? Do you think that they're out of touch?
Yeah. So, to me, and I don't know, anyone else watching or listening could think about your own opinion. To me, it's our local government saying we're going to tell you. We don't need to be told. Right. We're going to tell you. So we're going to take you out of the equation again, when it's your money, it's your property, it's your city. It's your voice, that it's supposed to be people representing us in there. and doing what's best for the people. Like you said, those buildings should have been at Laurentian for the betterment of those that are using them, not for some legacy project of,
Mm-hmm.
some person or some group. So it's supposed to be for the very purpose of those that it's serving. So whether it's Laurentian University serving the students, serving, them in terms of giving them the tools they need to be ready for life, or the city serving us in terms of our services and making our city a place that we could, is conducive to live in.
Yeah, if I can, connect this with myself, I'm thinking of occasionally, you'll be on these Facebook groups that are made explicitly for like posting things for sale. When you're looking to buy something, you can post in these groups, right? It's kind of like the old days. They had the classifieds in the paper, right?
Yep.
And you would think like, oh, this is a great way to, tell people about things, get people's feedback. Maybe they're interested. And one of the things that people post in there is like apartments for rent or houses for sale. And maybe this is going to come across hypocritical, but I don't think so, because I believe people should say what they want to say. I've seen many times on there, a newly renovated apartment will be on there, and they'll post, what they're looking to get for rent. And overwhelmingly, the comments will be negative. Like, instantly, people go on there and say, that's too expensive, you're gouging us, you're a scammer, nobody rent this place, you're a terrible person.
Yep.
Like, and they just spiral out of control, right? So I can understand that.
Yeah.
But imagine, you're getting a salary to be in charge of decision making in a city. And when you post something, we're going to make a decision on this. And you get all these comments, negative comments. Your first thought, and I'm not blaming the victim here, but your first thought is, we need to figure out a way that they can stop making these comments. It's like, there's no self-reflection, there's no self-awareness. Because I'll tell you, people have learned from this pattern. They don't post what the rent is going to be on the article anymore when they post it for sale, because they know, or at least they should know, they're going to get a lot of negative feedback. Like, people that have no interest in that apartment at all, people that it has nothing to do with, people that either can't afford or have no interest in renting an apartment will comment negative things on it. And the people have figured that out, and they go, just message me if you're looking for an apartment, and we'll see if it's the right one for you. That's the way to go. You don't say, administrators, you need to really ban these people or block these people from commenting. You figure out a way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm not a fan of, I know CBC took off their comments during the last part of the pandemic. I know Sudbury.com took off their comment section. Sudbury Star was the only local news outlet that allowed comments. And that was...
Well, Sudbury Star, we've talked about this before. We think Sudbury Star is maybe more right-leaning than other news sources in Sudbury. Like, for instance, he blasts the Laurentian president on a Sudbury Star letter to the editor.
Yep.
Are you really going to see that? I don't know.
So we all thought at the beginning of the internet, oh my goodness, this is the beginning of greater things, because it's going to open up more conversations, and those people that were closed-minded and whatever, it's going to be a natural way to kind of get real great ideas and things out there, and it's going to really make the world a better place. But now you have just basically people putting up the hand and saying, speak to the hand, basically, is what's going on. News sites, which should be the most open to comments, are closing their comments. And now you have a city going to be closing their comments to its citizens. What is that? What message does that send?
To me, it sends the message, we don't care if we're out of touch. We can't take it.
Yeah, we can't take your comments when you disagree with us. But the problem is, they say, well, you're disagreeing with us in an abusive manner, right? Like you're being abusive with us.
But that's, again, like...
Or is that just an excuse to close down the comments? So there's not more transparency? Because let's say the city claims something and I go on their Facebook page and I call them out on it.
Yeah, no.
And they're like, wait a minute.
to me, it's pretty cut and dry. Like, if you're not accountable,
That's
then
right.
what are you?
It's true. To
You
me,
have
that
impunity,
keeps accountability. Those
You have
comments,
impunity, basically. Do
exactly.
whatever you want.
It's like self-accountable to its citizens when a citizen could go on there and go, I don't really agree with that because of this, and they say that. Now, if they are being abusive, as far as I know, there's laws that you can, if someone said an abusive comment to you and it's against the law, you can take those measures, and then rightfully so. But someone's actually pushing to, I thought I read in the article, they're pushing to do more than just take off the comments and then go after citizens as well.
They're going after people.
Yeah.
Yeah. They want to for libel, they're saying.
Simply unacceptable to put our staff in a position where they will be subject to abuse, Archer wrote.
It's
Therefore,
crazy, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I could talk about this all day because I feel like these two stories are linked.
They are linked.
You know,
And they're
these
both
two
in
things
our
that we
community.
talked about today are really at the root. They're really the same issue.
They are.
And everything I've learned basically about human nature, about psychology, and about personality is most humans do the predictable thing. Most humans just do what's expected of them, not in a good or bad way. They just kind of go the path of least resistance through life. And when you see somebody in a position of power doing something like that, saying, I can't handle it, they're harassing me, immediately your first assumption should be, oh, they're doing this to make their life easier. Any other reason they give is a lie.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's easier to talk about this stuff than it is to deal with it.
But
and I'm not, again, like, I think I know a few things. I'm not a lawyer, but I think I know a few things about libel. And they're threatening you with an empty threat when they say that they'll get you for libel. Because what are the damages really? The damages to your ego or the damages, to your feelings? There's no, sorry, that's not how libel works.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I'm in agreement with you that I don't think this is a good thing is to shut off comments. And then what's going to happen is if we keep our comments open and we put a story, they're just going to tell Facebook, well, look at this organization. They have abusive, stuff on their Facebook page, and then they'll shut our comments down. And then eventually, where does it end? Where does shutting the comments down end?
Yeah, it never ends.
The whole internet then, no comments on the internet eventually. So no one, the very thing that social media was made for will come to naught. And again, that's the road we're going down. So that's the end I see if we keep going down this road.
Agreed. I don't think there's any other way it could end. Like, I remember telling my brother, good, smart guy. I remember telling him, we were talking about how great YouTube was because anyone could be a creator.
Yeah.
And Facebook is the same way, like you were saying. It's like a public square. Everyone can
say a public square, yeah. Yeah.
And I said, yeah, you can say what you think unless you disagree.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And what does that even mean? You can say anything you want unless I don't agree with you, and then I'll take you off.
So can I really? Yeah. Well, it nullifies the first statement. Really.
It's like the world's flat. You come around saying, no, I have some science that says the world's round. You're canceled. We're going to continue believing now. I know we've come full circle, and there's a lot of people out there who believe the world is still flat and whatever. And so that's a debate for another time and whatever. However, any kind of innovation would never have been put forward if someone didn't come up with a new idea somewhere. And when you cut down everyone else's voice, you end up with this just a lot of the same, and then it's like a cancer, and it comes in on itself. It corrupts like rust on a car, and eventually, if you don't have someone come and do something new to your car and refurbish things, and that's what new blood does. That's what new ideas do for communities, for nations, for the world. And I think we're just going in the opposite direction of that. I think we're getting into, we know the right things, listen to us, we're going this way, be quiet, and leave it to us. But at the end of the day, it's going to cost us $112 more per year in our taxes. That report just came out as well. Per person. Right? So give us more money and you get less comments. Less of a
Well, you
say.
get less say at the end of the day. You get less
Yeah.
say, right?
But give us more money and you get less say. It's a great deal, isn't it? Sounds like a great
Isn't that
deal.
the ideal like situation? You get more money, the same amount of money or more
Yeah,
money for
that's
the
right.
least level of accountability. And that
Exactly.
at the heart, that's kind of the theme, what the theme of the show has been today,
Yeah.
that we just deal with it for some reason. I think we're very amicable people. We're very amiable. We like to get along. Um, we like to just go to work and do these things. But
Yep.
like for instance, if you're probably not going to like this show because we can't help but put our own opinion in it, our
Mm-hmm.
own bias in it. But if you're the opinion that all negative speech, what they call harassment, all negative comments, and trust me, this guy, one of the ward counselors on the article we're reading, has banned 3,000 people because of comments they've made, and some of them because they put the laughing emoji.
Oh,
He bans
wow.
them.
Interesting.
Okay,
Yeah.
and they still do this. So
Hmm.
you're going to get banned from commenting on the public square because you used a laughing emoji. If you agree with that, if you think that banning someone for that reason is a good idea, your brain, the way you're thinking, is the way that people thought in Galileo's time. Your brain is the way that people thought when they burned Joan of Arc.
Mm-hmm.
Your thinking is like, if anyone disagrees with you, they should be burned. Like that's been proven to be the worst way to run a society.
And again, I've come across that mentality too. And if you kind of flip it around and say, what if something you said disagreed with someone else and they said, well, the result of that is you're going to be burned at the stake. Right away they go, well, I don't want that. I don't want to be burned at the stake. Well, do your ideas agree with everyone else's too? Like everyone's idea? You agree with everyone? Like imagine your idea. You have an idea. Since when did ideas and comments become dangerous?
Very recently.
Yeah, I know. So, but again, I think that all points and barometers in the world point to that's the way the world is going. That there's kind of like a pool of thought and this kind of collective of thought. And if you're not plugged into that collective of thought, then if you're outside of that and you want to be innovative and say, I love that collective of thought. However, if you added this little ingredient in that, no adding, you're burned at the stake or you're canceled or you're fired or you're whatever, because we can't add a little bit to that collective until the collective agrees that that's right. And then you'll be right.
And then you're
But
brought
then
back.
you're already dead or you're already canceled or you're already whatever, right?
Usually.
So I don't
Yeah.
understand that, the way of thinking, but, maybe we can have somebody with that type of, thinking on the show, and because it seems to be pretty prevalent in our society today. I don't know if you see the
It's
same.
very prevalent. It's yeah. I don't think we can keep going this way. I think something's got to give.
Yeah.
You know, I think people. I think it was around the year 2000. I read a book. I don't remember the title right now, but it reminded me on another show. I'll mention the title, but basically saying around the 2000s, people started to care way more about like economic issues than social issues.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much all social issues since the 2000s have just been conceded to the people that talk the loudest.
Yeah, exactly. Or have the
And
biggest
the way
club
we
or the gun or a whatever, right? A weapon.
exactly, and the way that we vote now is based on economics and like
Mm-hmm.
what we think the economy needs. I don't like that. I think like voting needs to be done on a balance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like is free speech a social issue? It's become a social issue. It should be a civil rights issue,
Yeah, it's true.
but it's become like a social issue. Well, that would be nice to have. If people talked nicer, we could have that kind of thing.
And the argument always is on the other side. See what that free speech did in terms of harm?
Exactly.
Like they're always this harm level. Free speech is causing harm. Free speech is dangerous because you can harm someone else or hurt feelings with free speech, which is true. I mean, my
Yep.
feelings get hurt all the time, and people, but this is the thing I find, those that buy into that have no problem putting other people in their place and being very
Sure.
harmful with their speech to
They're
the
very
people they
offensive with their
believe
speech.
in free speech. So I really, they have a hard time putting the shoe on their own foot. It seems to me that unless I'm able to be shown something else, it's hard to put themselves in other people's shoes. It's just their shoes, and that's it. You don't like it, this shoe's going to hit you in the rear. Hey, AJ here. Did you like that video? Please like and subscribe for more. Just like it every weekday.
Share it with your friends so they can stay up to date with all Sudbury news.